I'm trying to sculpt and create the world around me. I think this is the path of most woodworkers. We dream of surrounding ourselves with things we make out of the materials we love. Sometimes they are large furniture pieces, and sometimes they're small enough to fit in the palm of our hands. Some serve as a very specific need, and some is to add just a little bit of flavor to our daily lives. This is one of those projects that doesn't really serve a purpose, but instead makes a boring piece of tech a little more unique and enjoyable to look at. I hope this inspires you to modify and create the world you want to live in, and this project is brought to us by Squarespace. This is my office. Most of the time, it is a complete disaster. I'm working on correcting my organizational behavior, but a lot of times I'm just so caught up in the moment that I don't care where I put something. This room has been a very slow work in progress since we moved in 6 years ago. And to be honest, any room I occupy will always continue to be a work in progress because I embrace change. I've made a lot of things in here, but I need to remake a few things because the purpose of this room has changed. We used to have a dedicated music room, but that has been transformed into a laundry room, which is so adult, but I had to downsize and move the music equipment to fit in here. But today, we're gonna focus on what is on top of my desk. This is the Logitech keyboard I use, which is so much better than any laptop keyboard. And this guy is used to quickly access tools I use in my editing software. I think it would be cool if I framed both of these pieces in walnut so they look and feel like a single unit. This is one of those projects I'm going to design on the fly and dive in without any plans. I may end up remaking this again in the future using a CNC router, but I first wanted to make one by hand, put some miles on it, and see what I like and what I don't like about it. One of the problems about being a YouTube woodworker for a living is I don't get a chance to remake past projects and make them better, because I've always had this mindset that the audience expects something new every video. Whether or not that is true, that was my thought process. But as I mentioned a couple of videos ago, I'm throwing out the whole YouTuber strategy that I know works right out the window. I now make videos and projects I want to make. I want to get back to why I love being a maker and creator. No more YouTube formulas and worrying about expectations. I've done a couple projects like this in the past, and what I've learned with complicated cutouts is to just work in layers. So I'm working on the top layer where I traced out the keyboard and the loop deck and use Forstner bits to get the radiuses in the corners perfect, and then cut everything else out with the jigsaw. And when you're trying to get precise cuts with a jigsaw, get a fine-tooth blade and just go as slow as you can go. So I rounded over all the edges with the router. We all know the router is the tool of the devil, but since I was using it anyway, I might as well make a little cove on the top for a place to put pens and pencils. So for the bottom layer, we're just going to use another big chunk of beautiful walnut. I want it to be wedge shaped so the keyboard is at an angle. So I'm doing this trick where I tape on a piece of wood to one side and then run it through the planer on a sled, and then it planes down that angle into the wood. First time I've ever done that, it worked amazingly well and was just super satisfying. The bottom layer needs a pocket cut out because the keyboard has the section that sticks out that I assume is the battery. I used some double-sided tape and some scrap plywood to make a router template. I then drilled 2 holes on the bottom piece so I could poke my finger through to pop out the keyboards easily when needed. The Logitech keyboard is wireless and a single charge will last months. The loop deck needs to be plugged in while using it, so I had to route a channel for the USB cable. And then the 2 halves get glued together and a final trim up on the table saw. And because I am a man of comforts, I also made a wrist rest. Orange pairs so well with walnut. I don't even know what you call this thing, but we're getting close to being done with this keyboard frame. I've got a couple issues with the design, which we'll talk about in a little bit. In the meantime, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. Squarespace just makes my life easier. I sell a variety of things: digital downloads, plans to the projects that we make. I sell signed books and I ship them right from my house, as well as merch that comes directly from the fulfillment center. That could be complicated trying to figure out shipping and all of that, but not with Squarespace. It just makes it so easy. Checkout is seamless and simple, but powerful. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, offer customers the option of buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. This is something that has been simmering in my brain for a little bit, and it's something that I want to do. Squarespace now offers courses. You can start with a layout that fits your brand, upload videos, and customize everything with next generation editing technology. Squarespace is just so simple and easy to use. It's the backbone of my business and just makes my life easier. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I've been using this for a couple of days now. There are some things I greatly dislike about it. But first, let's talk about some of the positives, what I do like, and some of the features. Everything fits in here nicely. It pops right into place. I actually love how it looks. I thought about adding some cheeks on the side, but I didn't want to take up any more space. So you got some exposed end grain, which some people don't like. I do. I use my own finish on here and it came out really nice. I've got a video on making that finish. I also sell that finish to Patreon members at cost. It's got that cove on top, a place to put pens and pencils. The loop deck needs to be wired in so I can feed the wire through the hole in the back and then pop it into place. There are holes on the bottom so I can pop the keyboard and the loop deck out when I need to. I will have to pop the keyboard out to charge it. You know, I could do that overnight, and then a charge lasts many months. So it's not like I have to pop the keyboard out very often. Because the loop deck and the keyboard are different thicknesses, I had to create some standoffs on the bottom so they are all nice and level. Now, let's talk about what I don't like about this. Out of the hundreds of projects that we made on this channel, I can't think of one time that I made something and didn't like it. But there are some issues. There's some big time issues. It is too tall. It hovers over my laptop that sits on my desk. Now, I either need to raise the laptop or make the whole thing thinner. And I think the best thing is just to make the whole thing thinner. Maybe there's no bottom at all. It's just a frame and both pieces fit in there and still sit on the desk. I don't like the loop deck so close to the keyboard. I've been using it like this for a couple of days, and I actually prefer the loop deck off a few more inches and at an angle. That's just more comfortable for me to work in, and that's just where my muscle memory is after using this for a year. So I think the solution to that is this is modular, and the loop deck has its own frame and then is even at more of an angle so I could see it even better. And it's just its own little piece. The cove for the pens and pencils, don't need it. It just takes up more desk space. So that's just unnecessary. Don't need it. I think the wrist rest looks cool, but I'm not a fan of it. I don't think I need a wrist rest. If I can figure out how to make the whole thing lower, this is just unnecessary. I thought I would like the comfort of the cushiness. It's just not what I'm used to. I don't need a wrist rest. Not necessary. I do want to make a new desk because I have too many things that I need to have up here and I don't like the flow, the fit of everything. So now I am wondering if the desktop that I make has a place to drop in the keyboard frame. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking off the top of my head here, but the desk frame is modular. The keyboard drops in there. Maybe every once in a while when I don't need a keyboard and I just need a desk space for drawing or writing or whatever, there's another piece that can pop in over top of that that just gives me a nice flat surface. And then there's just no computers in my, when I don't need a computer, I don't want a computer around. Maybe, I don't know, something I'm thinking about. I am looking for suggestions because we are going to redo this sometime later this year. I need suggestions. If you made it this far, there must be something about this video that you like. We have a Patreon membership. Patreon members get monthly coupons, access to the Discord, Fusion 360 files, which I just started adding. Let's see, what else do we got? And behind the scenes videos. There'll be a link for that down below. If you're not a designer and you want a few tricks and tips on designing better furniture, check out this video here. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.